Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from many and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest on this episode is it's her sequel. It's been almost 2 years since she stepped foot in this beautiful looking studio. We like what you've done with the place, by the way. Please welcome one half of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay. Kelly Guentner is in the studio. Kelly, how are you? Welcome back.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back. You are a busy man. I would have been back sooner otherwise. I think I booked this 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's a while ago, isn't it? It really is. But we're thankful that you're here, and we're grateful that you, who maybe just joined us for the very first time, are here as well. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Kelly as we go throughout the course of this episode of And I Quote, whether you're joining us live or on the replay, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be more than happy to hear from you. It is good to see everybody. And look at this. We got one too many people in here already. Carl Witzman says, it's Kelly. I mean, good morning, everyone. Well, it's afternoon for me, but morning for some of you in the Midwest. Donna Carlene says, hey, everyone. Hello,
Hey,
Donna. Carl, good to see you. There's your 90s reference for the day. Do you remember that one, Kelly? You remember that 90s reference? I hope you do. No, you don't, do you?
I don't. What is that from? I'm sorry.
Billy Madison. It's from Billy Madison.
I should know that. My husband went through quite the Adam Sandler phase when we first got together.
Yeah.
Where it was all Adam Sandler movies all the time. I think I blocked that out. I'm sorry.
All right. Hopefully no marriage points were lost. Crayleigh's in the building. She says, I don't like corners. I prefer nooks or crannies. That's okay, Crayleigh. Maybe I'll switch up my intro the next time you're on set. Carl Woodson says, Kelly. Oh, and Ryan, I suppose.
I love you, Carl.
Oh, good Lord almighty.
This is why Carl's my favorite.
Oh,
he always makes me feel like a star.
I know, honestly. I can't help it. So, oh, Lord. Kelly, it's been a minute since you've been here. And one of the things we talked about the last time you were here was how great of a writer you are, how many wonderful things have been going on with you in terms of a writer. This first installment of your series, known as Scorcher, was one of the things we talked about in the previous episode, just like they say previously on X-Men, #not sponsor. But here's the question, though. Thin Ice. What exactly is Thin Ice? How did this come about? How is this series going?
Oh boy. So Thin Ice was over 10 years in the making. I finally got off my keister and got it written. Very, very excited about that. So when I first came out with Scorcher, I was writing it before the MCU was a thing. So before the superhero boom. And I got a little discouraged because I was like, maybe people are sick of superheroes because these books are a superhero romance. And Thin Ice is the sequel to Scorcher. And just to give the little spiel for anyone who hasn't read them, they're basically about someone named Aiden who was drawn into a nefarious organization when she was a child and discovered her superpowers in a pretty traumatic way. And basically, it's a story of redemption. It's a story of getting to a point in your life where you realize that the thing you've been raised into is not what you want to do for the rest of your life. And she meets someone who is on the right side of the law. That would be Marty. And kind of realizes, he kind of makes her question a few things. And she also has to deal with the fact that she's dating someone on the right side of the law when she has a secret life. So it's a really fun series. to write, and I really enjoyed writing book 2. And then there's also been some really exciting movement this year that I finally got an Indiegogo funded to get Scorcher turned into an audiobook with 2 very, very talented narrators. So the audiobook is coming. I have Kansas Badu and Chris Showers, who are dear friends, and they are so, so talented. So because I have 2 main characters, I wanted to have 2 distinct voices, switching off with their points of view. And then I just sat down and had a meeting with Chris and Kansas to just to go into the process a little. This is why I wanted to pay them what they were worth. That's what the Indiegogo was about. But we sat down and established baselines for the voices for all the main characters. And not only did they have to do that, but they also had to, because so Kansas is going to voice all the chapters from Aiden's point of view. Chris is going to voice all the chapters from Marty's point of view, but there's still dialogue in each of those chapters. So not only did they have to establish what sort of accent and, kind of tone and cadence and like age range, what sort of voice each character was going to have. But then they had to kind of get some consistency going between the 2 of them. So their job is not easy. They're earning the money that I just raised to pay them. And they're so good. It was really surreal to sit down with these 2 professionals and hear them bring my characters to life. And I'm really excited. Right now we have a target of November is when things will be done. So I'm really excited for everyone who pledged to hear the fruits of those labors. And after the book is done, it's going to be going out. I'm going to be putting it out on Audible and anywhere else I can get it out there for anywhere else you buy audiobooks. So if you did not get in early, you will be able to purchase it. You could also send me an email and shoot me PayPal and get in on it early because it's going to be an experience. They're so good. If you don't follow Chris, you should. Kansas does not have an online presence, even though she should, but Chris is at the Jowers everywhere, and he shares a lot of his voice acting, and he's so talented. Just he does a lot of characters.
Whoa,
Really
this is heavy.
Yeah, he's particularly known for his Joker voice, and his Joker voice is amazing. So
My goodness gracious. Well, there's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? But I'll tell you what, Kelly, congratulations on that. That is amazing stuff. You've taken your next steps into a larger world. So congratulations on that. That is fantastic stuff. Also, some people are chiming in the chat. We love to hear it. Let's see. Carl says we love you too. And I have to tease poor Ryan. Thanks, Carl. It's nice to be teased every once in a while. Crayley McDonald says if you want those good-looking books known as Scorcher and Thin Ice, you can find them here on Amazon. So
my editor / cosplay partner, creative partner / hype woman, y'all. I love you, Crayley.
If you didn't know that already. By the way, Grant Lankard is in the building. He says, morning, kids. What's up, Grant? Good to see you, man. Hope everything's well in your neck of the woods. Yep. Hope everything is going well for you, Grant. Hope everything's going well. Also, everyone's saying hi to each other. Carl says hello, Grant. Grant is saying must have been a long night in the green room. We don't talk about the green room on this show, gentlemen. And let's see here. Let's see.
We don't talk about green room.
No, we don't. Grant Lankard says a nice way to start a Saturday morning. I like Kelly and Ryan. Well, Grant, why wouldn't you like us? What's not to like about the 2 of us here in this studio, honestly?
And Grant also recently got a crowdfund put through for his Beowulf comics. I just got my copies emailed to me. I'm very excited.
Indie supports indie.
So congratulations, Grant.
Yeah.
If you all have not read Grant's comics, you need to follow him. Check him out.
Absolutely, you should. Indie supports indie. Carl asks the question. Oh, wait. Carl says, Kelly, will there be another book?
Yes, there will. I'm working on book 3 now. It will not take me 10 years, okay? You all can hold me to that. You can bug me. I am working on book 3, especially now that the crowdfund is done. and the audiobook is in the works. I am getting back to working on book 3. It's underway. I'm really excited about it. And right now the plan is for it to end at a trilogy, but I also have ideas for accompanying stories set in the world. And there will be a comic book. I'm working with an artist. So lots of exciting things happening.
Oh my goodness
My
gracious.
friend Steve Janis is super talented, and so we're working on a comic book. We are still figuring out the shape of that, but yeah, we had a really good creative meeting a few months ago, and that's getting going. So I do my best work when collaborating with others, for sure. And I'm very lucky to have so many creative people, yourself included, that I get to collaborate with that inspire me.
What, me? I don't do anything. But I will say, after hearing all this wonderful...
Yes! That's awesome!
I mean, you're on cloud 9. You're a ray of freaking sunshine. I'll tell you that. You know what else is a ray of sunshine? The person or individual who is watching or listening to this. This is an episode of And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Kelly, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you're joining us live or on the replay, thank you so much for being here. We cannot do this without you. And outside of the whole greatness, that's going to become a trilogy because good things tend to come in threes. Let's see here. There was someone brought it up about the book, and then something else. Let's see here. Everyone's saying hi to each other. Why are you all being so nice? I don't get that. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, always be nice to each other. That's what I always say. Let's see here. Crayley says, Kelly, I love you too. That's Crayley stating that in the chat. We love you too, Crayley.
I just got to go see Crayley last weekend. We got to go to this thing called Unicorn World, which is touring the US. It's really fun. You should all Google it because maybe it's coming to a city near you. It's mostly aimed at children, and Crayley and I are children in adults' bodies, as you all know.
Oh, okay.
So Crayley debuted her Lady Amalthea costume. I debuted my Ariel, and we went and frolicked among the animatronic unicorns and got lots of pictures and made some kids happy, and it was delightful. Highly recommend it. It is definitely an event aimed at children, but we had a blast.
We're all children in adult bodies anyway. By the way, Grant Lanker goes on to say, I actually got a lot of work done this morning, believe it or not. And Grant says, thanks for your support, guys. You're welcome, Grant. And then Crayley brings up one of the famous hashtags on the interwebs called hashtag always support your friends. Crayley, where did you pick that one up from?
This guy.
Where'd you pick that up? Where'd you find that? Is that somewhere else? I don't know. By the way, Hollis Thompson's in the building. He says, Beowulf Comics, lit professor perks up, he says.
Hollis, I'll send you the link.
Please
I think you'd like them.
Do him a favor. Do him a solid. By the way, Crayley says book 3 is going to be amazing, according to Crayley.
That's because Crayley is my editor, and she's gonna make sure it is. She really helped me beat book 2 into shape because book 2 is a mess before she got her hands on it.
Got it into shape, huh? Yeah. Bench press 285. I'm just kidding. Carl says, "Don't make us give you the Keisha treatment." I'm not sure what that means, Carl. Can you explain that to me? Because I have no idea what that means.
Oh, Keisha had books that she was never going to publish that were just kind of like sitting
on the back burner,
off to the side. Carl, please do. If I have not published book 3 in 2 years, please give me the Keisha treatment. I need it. I really do. I sometimes I need that kick in the butt, and I don't want to take 10 years. I don't. It was awful. It was really awful when I finally got down to business. I cried a lot because I was like, why did I take 10 years? Also, the stuff I wrote 10 years ago is terrible.
But there's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of crying in writing. A lot of crying and a lot of swearing.
Okay. Why don't you leave her alone, Jimmy? Oh, you zip it, Doris. Anyway, there's another pop culture reference. Did anyone catch that? Let us know in the chat where it came from. Grant Langert says, yeah, don't forget to like this show, people. Thank you, Grant, for that reminder. Awesome stuff. Love you, man. Going well for you. So, Kelly, here's a question for you. When it comes to the element of something known as cosplay, because I don't know if cosplay is really your thing, although it probably has been the last 40 some odd years you've been on God's green earth. Hence the reason we have this example up for grabs on the set. So my question for you is, what are some of the rewards of being a cosplayer? What do you think?
Oh, well, first of all, like I mentioned, making kids happy. That look on a child's face when when they see their favorite character walk in the room, there is nothing like it. That is my favorite feeling in the world. Second to that is my inner child, the feeling of my inner child when I bring to life a character that I've loved for years and I get to put on the costume and I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm Ariel. Nothing like it. It's just, and then you get a break from all the stresses of adult life. You get to just put on a costume and play. And you get to go nerd out with like-minded people who have similar interests. And you get to meet some of the nicest people in the world and hang out with them. And it's the best. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
A whole new world. Anyway, Carl says, we trapped Keisha in what is known as a chat room. We told her that she would be published by the month of December. Then we babysat her until she was actually published, says Carl Witzman.
I am giving you my permission on air right now, Carl, to do that to me.
Okay,
I may regret that, but I have given you my permission. I want to be published. I want to publish book 3. Maybe not by this December because the audiobook's in play. By next December. Let's do it.
Okay, that's fair. By the way, Grant Lankern answers the question where that pop culture reference come from. He says it's actually a League of Their Own, Grant, but you're very close. You just had to replace a few letters in that. Is it first, second, third?
He gets credit.
Word. But it's okay. You still get credit. And then Carl says, woohoo, let's do it. So there you go. You're welcome.
I think Carl's going to enjoy this way too much, but
way too much in the chat. He's already doing it too. But with that being said, flip side of the coin though, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges about being a cosplayer, Kelly?
I always joke that it is not a costume until you have blood on it and cried over it. And so yeah, I bleed over most of my costumes. Usually I don't get the blood on the costume, thank goodness, because blood stains are a beast to get. But other than that, really the fact is, or the problem is that my creativity is a lot more ambitious than my skill level. So a lot of times I will take on projects and then go, oh crap, now I have to learn how to do an entirely new skill that I am unprepared for. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, I like Curly's comment.
Well, I'll bring that up here in a second. But as far as, let's see, Grant says, my answer to a League of Their Own, I don't think that would necessarily count on Jeopardy. No, you're right. It wouldn't. I'm sorry, Grant. You may lose $200 there. But hey, we still love you, brother. Crayley says, oh, I see. We have a deadline. Kelly, quote unquote, my deadline. Crayley, our deadline, quote unquote. Boy, this is an odd conversation to have in the chat, isn't it?
Crayley and I are so interconnected and with our creative stuff and so up in each other's creative stuff that if one of us has a deadline, we both are going to be stressing over it. But we also, on the flip side, we both are going to be helping the other make it. So it's good. Okay. We're good for each other.
All right. So I guess you really don't need Cerebro to connect the two of you together like Professor Xavier does with his fellow mutants.
Nope, we have that Phoenix connection, that psychic connection going all the time. For better or for worse.
Well, I mean, just like it goes back to the original movie, right? It certainly is a big round room. The brainwaves of mutants are different from average human beings. I'm sorry, I can quote the X-Men movies all day long because X-Men is freaking awesome. Carl goes on to say, too many finger sticks with the sewing needle, Ryan. That's the blood. That's where that comes from.
Yep.
Okay. That's fair.
Hold on 1 second.
apparently Kelly's got other things on her mind. But with that being said, if this is your first time here with us here at Nerd Culture Channel, or your first time tuning in for And I Quote, don't forget to like and share this episode with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Kelly, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you're enjoying this live or on the replay, we appreciate you being here. We greatly appreciate it. We cannot do this without you. And Carl goes on to say, potential child care in progress. Maybe, Carl. Maybe. I'm not really sure. That's up to somebody else, not me. But but hey, if you guys are looking for great stuff to find and read, whether it's comic books, whether it's graphic novels, whether it's other collectibles, you're going to want to check out our friends over there at Famous Faces and Funnies. So take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
First time for everything, but welcome back. Good to see everybody. Don't forget to check out our good friends at Famous Faces and Funnies. And hey, special shout out to our good friend Amy Hale. Amy Hale is an incredible woman and an incredible writer, so don't forget to visit her at authoramyhale.com. Kelly, I was wondering where you stepped off to. Are you okay? Are you still alive?
I am fine. Yes, my daughter came in and needed something, and thank you for covering.
No problem. No problem. We got wonderful people that we love to support and give shout outs to. I thought now was the appropriate time to do so. So authoramyhale.com. Check her out. You may find your next favorite read over there. By the way, Carl, let's see. Carl says, child care in progress. Crayley says, I'm the child on the inside. Where's my care? Laugh out loud. And then Carl
I'm
says,
sure Oakley would give you snuggles, Crayley.
Yes. And then Carl says, kids always have emergencies while you're being interviewed. Gotta love them.
Always.
Grant says Amy Hale has the peppiest music. She probably does. I'm not sure, but hey, we try to support other people on this show. That's what we're used to doing. But with that being said, Kelly, we've talked about some of the positives, some of the challenges about being a cosplayer, all this wonderful stuff. But my question, you brought this up in a previous conversation that we've had behind closed doors. I'm not sure if it was brought up on the last episode that you were here with us, but I did a rewatch of this little indie film. It's only been out for over 2 decades. It's called The Mummy. Now, I'm curious. You've mentioned this behind closed doors, and maybe you've mentioned this on other podcasts. You seem to have a love affair with this film known as The Mummy from 1999, starring Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and company. Why is it, of all 50 billion movies that have been made on this earth, that The Mummy is your #1 favorite? Tell us why.
It is the most perfect movie there ever is. Next to it's even with The Princess Bride. It's got action, adventure, romance. It's just fun. It's a popcorn movie. And one of the things I like about the romance is that they don't have to dumb down the female character, but also she doesn't have to be your stereotypical strong female character. Like, she's smart and badass in her own way. And the male character doesn't talk down to her. He respects her. Like, also Brendan Fraser. Who doesn't love Brendan Fraser? I don't know. It's just one of those perfect movies. It just makes me happy every time I watch it or talk about it.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Just out of curiosity, though, what did you think of its sequel, Mummy Returns? Any love for that movie or not as much?
I loved Mummy Returns. I thought obviously nothing holds a candle to the first one, but Mummy Returns was absolutely great. I loved that um still Rick and Evie were just this adorable, super in love couple. They were great parents. I thought their kid was cute. And the sequel had a fun storyline. You know, the storylines don't fully make sense. There are plot holes, but you don't care because it's entertaining. At least I don't care. And it was, I thought the sequel held up to the first one. When we talk about the other movies in the Mummy universe, not so much. But the first two, those two are magic. They're just, there's just something about them that they really are magic. The CGI on the Scorpion King, not so much. Nobody wants that. I don't
Hmm.
know. But other than that, and even the effects, aside from that god awful CGI, the end scene, even the effects were pretty good for a 90s era action film.
That's fair. That's completely fair. Makes sense. Yeah, full disclosure, I did a rewatch of the original film yesterday, The Mummy from 1999 to be more specific.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time since I've sat down and watched it, right? After watching it, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's fun to what you can just kick back 2 hours, hour 55 really, and just enjoy it for what it is. You know, I thought
I like it.
I thought the film was fun. Also, the score by Jerry Goldsmith is good too. You
The
ever
music
notice
is
that?
great. Mm-hmm.
Good score, good adventure. It definitely makes you feel like you're in an adventure type film for sure. Jerry Goldsmith knows how to put that kind of stuff. I mean, he's been doing it for decades, so no problem there. And by the way, Carl says, "Mommy, is this supposed to be bleeding?" Question mark. I'm not sure. And then Carl goes on to say, "Kelly is the con mother too. I hear. Have you hydrated today?"
Yes, I have con children, and one of my con sons admitted to me in the afternoon, mind you, that he hadn't had a drink since the morning while we were passing a water cooler. And I know, and he was like, I asked both him and the other person with me if they wanted a drink, and I had force fed her a water bottle an hour ago. So she got a pass when she said no. But when he said no, I was like, when was the last time you had water? He's like, oh, I'm fine. I had water when we were leaving the hotel room. I was like, we left the hotel room 7 hours ago. And next thing I know, this mom voice is coming out of me. And we're like on an upper floor, and it's like the bottom floor is open. I think everyone in the con hall could hear me just all of a sudden, like, Douglas, get your ass back there. Go hydrate, because we had already walked past the water cooler, and he like scrambled to hydrate. Like he scrambled back to the water cooler to fill up his water bottle and get water. I and probably people are like, why is that? And at this point, I was like half in costume. I had a sweatshirt over my costume, and then I had like leather leggings. So people are probably like, why is that crazy lady yelling at her 20-year-old son?
Beats me, but people will be people. And Crayley goes on to say, people who don't love the actor known as Brendan Fraser are wrong.
True story.
You're wrong.
I literally cried when he got the Oscar this year. I didn't even watch. I was just refreshing like crazy. And like when I saw that he got the Oscar because of everything he's been through, I just started crying. I was like, I was so happy for him.
Yeah.
He's just
Everyone
such a
speculated he
good
was going to
human
win
being.
anyway. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying everyone speculated he was going to win the award regardless, no matter what happens. He's going to win it. So.
That was overdue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you were on the Academy and you were on the board, you kind of probably could have gotten him an honorary Oscar for the Mummy. If you had it your way, you would have done it. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Sticking with the cosplay thing here for just a minute, we spoke about the Mummy. Do you have any cosplays that you're planning for in the future that involve characters from the Mummy, or maybe some other cosplays you want to share with us that are in the mix?
Well, I've done 2 versions of Evie already, and at Fan Expo, Chicago in August, I'm going to be Kraylie's booth babe slash helper, and I am going to mash up one of my Eevees with Eevee the Pokemon, so that's gonna be fun. Eevee and Eevee. Yep.
Goodness gracious. Well, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like fun. And once again, you know what else is fun is the person who's watching or listening to this. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. We're here with Kelly Guentner, one half of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, here on this episode. If you have any questions for her, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, let us know in the comments. Please, by all means, let us know in the chat. And if you want to discuss your love of Brendan Fraser, maybe Rachel Weisz, maybe some of the other actors and actresses who have taken part in the Mummy franchise, like Patricia Velasquez or Arnold Vosloo, if I'm saying that right. Some of the other actors, characters, I can't remember. There's too many to name point blank, but you know what? That's pop culture is everywhere. What are you going to do? Philip Miller chimes in. He says, "You guys sound good. I'm just making my buttermilk pancakes.
Yeah.
Good morning from Sunny Hotel, California." Thank you, Philip.
Morning, Philip.
You. Philip Miller is one of our biggest fans. It is so good to see you, Philip. By the way, feel free to send some of those buttermilk pancakes over here to us and people in Wisconsin and North Carolina.
I would love some buttermilk pancakes.
Yeah. You like buttermilk pancakes? Do you like those? What do you put on your pancakes, though? Do you put, like, toppings? You put the butter? You put the syrup on it? What do you do?
So when I have regular pancakes, I put syrup on it, but I also love to make these Greek yogurt banana pancakes, and then I put mashed up banana and peanut butter and milk mixture with chocolate chips, and it is the best morning treat like you could ever ask for. Also, it's like packs a lot of protein and it doesn't have much in the way of carbs, and that's one of my favorite morning treats when we're talking pancakes.
Wow. Hashtag the more you know.
I'll have to share the recipe.
Please
I'll
do.
send you the recipe.
Send it to everybody.
So good.
Honestly, you should send that to everybody. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. So
I'll send it to you and you can share it on your page or share it in the show notes. There we go.
Yeah.
It is not my original recipe, to be clear.
No.
It's one I found while trying to eat healthier, which granted the chocolate chips undo that, but it's with the Greek yogurt, it's somewhat healthier.
Okay. Wonderful stuff. Now, you mentioned something about conventions. Have there been any special memories for you recently at conventions or other events, whether you're there as a vendor or there as an attendee since the last time we spoke? Any memories stand out to you?
Yeah, actually, with C2E2, I got to go with this cosplay club that I'm a member of called Chicagoland Cosplay Creations. We had a booth that was basically set up for with photo backdrops, and that was so much fun because I lent them some of my photo backdrops, and it was fun seeing different cosplayers use them in different ways and just have a lot of fun posing in front of them. And also just really fun going to C2E2 now that I know so many more cosplayers in the Chicagoland area, and just I could not walk more than 10 feet without running into people I knew, and that was very, very much fun. And I love even though I'm from Wisconsin, I love my Chicago area people. Like the cosplayers in that area have built such a nice, caring, welcoming community, and I've been really fortunate to become a part of that in the last year, and it's been wonderful. So
Chicago with them bears.
With them bears
That's right.
and dimbles.
Yeah, with them bears, in Chicago. By the way, Hollis Thompson chimes in. He says, "I do the cooking in my house, and I would really like that recipe, Kelly."
I got you.
More
I
messages
will send
are
it
coming
to
your way. Yeah, more messages are coming your way very soon, Hollis. Well, like Philip Miller chimes in. He says, "Wow, Kelly, your Greek yogurt pancakes sounds like a chef's specialty dish. And I thought my real whip it good whipped cream with strawberries and real Canadian maple syrup with bourbon was red hot."
That sounds really good too. I need that recipe.
Philip Miller, you know what to do, right? You got to DM my friend Kelly. She's on my friends list. Just look her up there. She's there. See, people helping people with recipes. This is what we do out of the clear blue sky on this show. You never know what life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Honestly. Cosplay. Well, you know what's almost as good as cosplay, if not better? New projects, right, Kelly? New projects, isn't that right? So something known as Gilmore Sisters. What on earth is Gilmore Sisters, and how did this all come about? Tell us about it.
It's Crayley and me taking on another project because we don't have enough projects. Seriously though, so Crayley and I both adore Gilmore Girls. We absolutely love the show, and we have had many a rant about Gilmore Girls over the years. Crayley's just constantly got rewatches of Gilmore Girls on repeat. That's one of her comfort shows. I've rewatched the show several times. And so we were just talking about it, and Gilmore Girls is one of those shows that the fandom continues to grow. Even though the show ended so long ago, it's continuing to pick up new fans, especially because it's on streaming. So fans are just discovering it. It's comfort TV, you know? It's also funny. It's
Witty.
got a nice mix of drama, comedy, romance, whatever, like anything you want. So we realized that a lot of the conversations we have, we could just start recording them and putting them into episode format. And, no fuss, no muss, you got a podcast. So it's basically our stream of consciousness. It is not your typical Gilmore Girls podcast because some of our discussions are ranty and normal stuff, but a lot of our discussions have centered around whether or not the people of Stars Hollow are vampires or fairies because of their weird sleeping and eating habits, and the fact that the writers of Gilmore Girls don't seem to have met any normal people and don't seem to understand how money works. You just need to listen.
I don't think the residents of Stars Hollow know how money works. I've watched 6 or 7 episodes. Yes. All right. I'll admit this on air right here, right now. So I know what Gilmore Girls is because I'm actually friends with a group of people who worship the ground that Gilmore Girls walks on. And the fact that they keep yapping about it. I finally went on a streaming service. And for those of you who are wondering, Gilmore Girls is currently streaming on Netflix, #not a sponsor, all 7 seasons and the miniseries, also known as A Year in the Life. I have not seen this show before. I've heard of it over the years. I know who Lauren Graham is because she was on one of the greatest television series of all time known as Parenthood. That lasted for, I believe it was 5, if not 6 incredible seasons on NBC. I think it's one of the top 5 greatest TV series of all time. If you have never seen Parenthood, never seen it, treat yourself and watch all 6 seasons because Lauren Graham and company are some of the best cast in the world, period. You got Lauren Graham, right? Peter Krause, Dax Shepard, right? You got Bonnie Bedelia. You got Craig T. Nelson. You got Erica Christensen, Sam Yeager. I mean, you got some of the biggest. I mean, seriously, some of these actors weren't as well known as they are now, but I'm telling you, Parenthood is perfection, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to Stars Hollow, I ventured into Stars Hollow. It's scary. And I've watched 6 or 7 episodes, and I'm starting to realize that for me, even though I'm still in the early parts of season 1, because, every show takes a while to find its footing, right? Every show takes between 1 or 2 seasons to find its footing. They find the formula and they work with it, right? So for me, I like the scenes at the hotel where Lorelai is working. Because the front desk clerk, I forget the character. What's the guy?
Michelle. I love Michelle.
He is the person that says what everyone in the audience wants to say but are afraid to say it.
Yep.
Right? So when I see sequences taking place at the hotel, I'm thinking to myself, just have the show at the hotel, honestly. Because I can listen to him babble and be upset and be angry and then throw his frustrations onto Lorelai because Lorelai's the manager, right? She runs the hotel. It's her baby. So when he comes in and says, if you don't get these people out of here, I swear, I'm just going to hit them. Like, anytime he starts complaining, I'm thinking to myself, can I just hang out with him the whole show? Honestly. Let me hang out with this guy.
feel like Luke says a lot of that
He does.
too,
I mean,
though,
Luke
and I
gets
love
to it.
Luke.
Luke gets to it. He does. I mean, honestly, every time Lorelai and it's Rory, right? Rory walks in.
Yep.
Luke, coffee now. And Luke's like, do you understand that there are more things in the world than just drinking coffee? And she says, no, I don't. Just fill up my cup, will you? So it's just clearly Lorelai has an obsession with coffee, right? She has the biggest obsession I've probably ever seen a character on a show. But anyway,
And how a single mom who's supposedly middle class, lower middle class at that, can afford to go out for coffee multiple times a day.
and hang out with Rory between classes. You know, or after school.
So-
Does she stop by after school, or she stop by I feel like she stops by in between classes and after school when Rory's in school, right?
Whenever the plot requires.
It's called plot holes. But anyway, so as far as my experience with Gilmore Girls go, it's going fine. I mean, granted, I'm still in the early stages, so I can't really make like a full review of the show. I can't really say much without watching like the first couple of seasons. But Kelly, Gilmore Sisters, this podcast is going to catch on like wildfire.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure it will. Well, let me ask you this. I know this is a new project for you and Crayley with Gilmore Sisters, with all due respect. What has the response been with Gilmore Sisters? Have you heard anything from anybody? Have you gotten reviews on the podcast feeds? What are people saying in the comments section of these episodes?
We haven't had super active comment sections, but a few people have been telling us they enjoy the episodes, which is nice to hear. For what it's worth, Johnny, our network head, told us that he never liked the show when it was airing, but he likes our podcast. Like, he really enjoys our podcast, which to me, that's the highest compliment you can get. If someone doesn't like the show that you're discussing, but they like how you discuss the show, I feel like that's a pretty high compliment. So I think it'll catch on. Crayley and I always joke about the fact that we talk just as fast as Lorelai and Rory. So if you like the way they talk on the show, you'll like our podcast.
No, don't. Tell me about your day. Tell me what happened with the guy. What's his name? Dean. What happened with him? Like, I'm serious. I'm here to listen. Just tell me. You're like, no, you're gonna embarrass me. No. Tell me now.
Ori with the poodles already.
Yeah, it's
Have you
like,
gotten to that episode yet?
which episode is this? The one with what now?
Where they say Oi with the poodles already?
No, I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh.
No. I think I'm in episode 7 of season 1, episode 6, episode
You're
7.
very early in.
I'm at I've barely, in certain TV terminologies, I've barely scratched the surface of this show. And I'm realizing what the camaraderie is. I'm realizing what the give and take is between the characters, right? And I'm also realizing, here's the thing. I'm not really a Melissa McCarthy fan. No, really not. Never have been. But
Understandable.
this was her early career. So this was her getting off the ground. So I can understand why they spend so much time with her in the kitchen. So I'm getting it. I'm like, okay, she comes in, she throws in a zinger. She's like, hey, how did it go with, your boyfriend? Or how did it go with the date? What happened? What happened? You want me to make you something? Can I make you something? It's just, okay. I get it. I'm getting it. But
And Suki is a very different kind of character than the characters that Melissa McCarthy plays now. It is more typecast for now. I feel like Suki's very charming and sweet, whereas now Melissa McCarthy's kind of more typecast as a little bit more obnoxious comedy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, it's fair. No, it's fair. It's probably a fair assessment. You know what is fair is that for the person watching or listening to this, welcome. This is And I Quote with Kelly Guentner, one half of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay. Do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Kelly, whether it's live or on the replay, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be more than happy to hear from you. Goodness gracious, we run the gamut of a billion different things, from mummies to more mummies to Brendan Fraser beating up mummies and Gilmore Girls hanging out in Stars Hollow. Apparently people don't want to seem to age in Stars Hollow because they're all vampires. So take that what you will. For someone who is aspiring to get into cosplay, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give that individual? What do you think?
well, I would say seek out as many tutorials as you can on whatever you're looking to build. if you want to make your own costumes. If you want to buy your costumes, that's fine. No shame in that. Find your people. It's a lot more fun if you have friends to do it with. If you don't have friends who are willing to go to cons with you, go to a con by yourself and walk up to cosplayers whose costumes you admire and strike up a conversation. Because most cosplayers, I'm gonna say most cosplayers are pretty welcoming and willing to make a new friend. That's like why we like doing it. But once you find your people, it makes the hobby so much more fun. It gives you people to turn to and ask for advice. And then advice number 3, or piece number 3 of my advice is don't be too hard on yourself. Whether you're making something that comes from a movie or TV show, give yourself a reality check and realize that like movies and TV shows have literally billions of dollars in their budget. They have a whole warehouse of people working on it with specialized tools. They usually have different versions of costumes based on if it's an action scene or a scene where they're standing still. So if you're making a costume in your house without specialized tools, without that budget, it's okay if you aren't completely canon accurate. And also, especially with superhero costumes, half the costume is CGI nowadays. And if you're making a costume that's like from an animated series or a comic, usually animators and comic artists do not take into account how things work in real life. So be kind to yourself. Let things slide. It's okay if something is not fully accurate. Just be kind to yourself. And you're always going to be your own worst critic. And if anyone is being a worse critic than you are, you don't need that kind of negativity in your life. Don't just shut them out. But those are my pieces of advice.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, how about this? Speaking of your series, Scorcher, Thin Ice, you got book number 3 on the way, aka it's also known as a trilogy because good things tend to come in threes. Just like the original Star Wars trilogy. That was a great group of 3, wasn't it? The Back to the Future trilogy, that was a good group of 3, right?
Yes.
Trilogies are possible. They can be made to be fun, and they can be made very well, depending on who the filmmaker is and all that kind of jazz. By the way, Carl says, yes, we are always our own worst critics. And then Crayley goes on to say, vampires keep coming up, just laughing out loud.
Yep, that's been a theme of our show. We are going to do an entire episode where we discuss whether the residents of Stars Hollow are vampires or fairies. Right now I'm leaning towards fairies.
Goodness gracious. Reminds me of that little indie film you and I used to watch when we were kids. Remember that movie Hook with Robin Williams? I do not believe in fairies.
Love that movie so much.
Oh, you
One
do?
of the Lost Boys.
You like that movie? Okay.
I do. One of the Lost Boys is on my Facebook friends list, and he's super nice.
Say what? Which Lost Boy is this?
Rashawn Hammond. Which Lost Boy did he play? Godbutt.
Oh, the one who does the rolling and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, you're friends with that dude?
He's so nice. He's a magician now. He's still acting.
Really?
Yeah, he's a really, really nice dude.
I was not aware of that. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I do not believe in fairies.
I had to make sure it was really him when he sent me a friend request. I was like, oh my gosh, that's part of my child. I was very excited. Not to like name drop and all that, but yeah.
Hey, listen, I know people who know people who know people. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
And then, Julia Roberts says, you got to clap. If it's the only way to save me. Louder, Peter.
Yes.
Which, by the way,
Julia Roberts made such a beautiful tank.
Here's the funny, some people say that, and this is something that, by the way, this is going to go along with a certain topic has come up on the internet the last number of years. Disney seems to want to remake everything. And I'm not really a big fan of that. But when it comes to Peter Pan, the original Peter Pan from Walt Disney Pictures, the original animated feature film, I'm talking about the one from way, 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 way back. That movie was fine. But when Hook came out, and it was like a spiritual
so good.
sequel to the original film.
So
Like,
good.
what if Peter grew up? What if he lived in our world and he got married and he had kids and he had a job and all this other? That was a good film for what it was, because to me, nothing against the original. Listen, I know animation and live action are two very different mediums. But for me, Hook is a better film than Peter Pan. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong. Hook is a masterpiece.
I mean, Julia
Hook is
Roberts.
one of those other perfect films. Fight me.
Oh, you think
You're not going to fight me, but
no, it's okay. So let's go with this for a minute. So you say that Hook, the movie with Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman and company, that to you is the idea of a perfect movie, as well as The Mummy, the first Mummy, the first one?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go with this.
Mummy,
Yeah.
Hook, Princess Bride, Stardust,
Where's
and
this?
ooh.
Where is it? Where's door number 5?
Oh boy.
Give me the handful. Come on now.
I mean, the Back to the Future trilogy for sure.
Okay, you can put Back to the Future on there as number 5. I'm not gonna fight you on it.
Yeah, and the Star Wars trilogy is a
You
given.
can't have
That's
6.
like
You got to keep it to 5. I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to make it 10, if you want to make it 10, go right ahead. What are 10 perfect movies in your opinion? So you've gone with Back to the Future, you've gone with Star Wars. Okay, what comes after that? So you got 5, you got 6. Now you need 7, 8, 9, and 10. You need 4 more.
Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Which cut? Original or extended?
Oh,
You got to pick. Be specific.
extended.
Extended cuts. All right, keep going. So you got 7. I think that's 8. You need 2 more. Or 3 more.
Okay.
Can't
Superman the movie.
count. Ooh, 78's the Richard Donner film. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
Oh my gosh. This is
It's a good
hard.
question.
It's a really good question.
This goes out to you. And for those of you who are watching or listening to this, whether this is live or on the replay, what are 10 movies in your mind that you consider to be perfect? Now, remember, perfect is subjective, right? But in your mind, what do you think are 10 movies in your opinion that are perfect? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Put it on our social media. Love to hear from you. Yes, Kelly, go ahead.
Ever After.
The Drew Barrymore?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is? Drew Barrymore?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Where did I see that the other day? I'm trying to think. Hold on a second.
It's on Disney Plus.
Ah, that's where I saw it. Okay. So, by the way, I added it to my queue in case you're wondering. So, there you go. By the way, more people are chiming in the chat. Let's see here. Hollis says the movie Hook is criminally underrated from director Steven Spielberg. There you go. He agrees with you on that. Yes. Hollis says 7 is completion, Kelly, so you really shouldn't have named 3 more. But it's okay because 10 movies are an even number. So let's keep it even, shall we?
Yeah.
By the way, Laugh with Jocelyn says, Nerd Alert! Hello, Jocelyn. How are you? Good to see you.
Hello,
she
Jocelyn.
says, hello, Ryan and friends. Hello, Jocelyn. How you doing? Everything's well in your neck of the woods. Go ahead, Kelly. What were you going to say?
I feel like dumping in trilogies as one number was cheating, but you know what?
It's kind of cheating.
You allowed it.
All right.
But
fine.
also, the trilogies together, each trilogy is a full story arc. So
except the Mummy, except the Mummy trilogy.
There's no Mummy trilogy. What are you talking about?
There is no there is no Tomb of the Dragon Emperor that came out in 2008.
What are you talking about? I've never heard of that.
You weren't there? You didn't see it? I was there when it came out in theaters.
It doesn't have the same cast. It doesn't.
Well, it almost has the same cast, minus Rachel Weisz. She bowed out, and then they put in Maria Bello as Evie.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't
also,
count.
Artist
Bay didn't
return.
So it's hashtag not canon, right?
Exactly.
Just like the Star Wars prequel. That's hashtag not canon. Oh, I started something, didn't I? Did I start something with you, Kelly? Did I start something? Are you? Let me ask you this. Let's be honest for a minute. We're gonna dive into this because this is a great question for me, and I'll answer this question for you too, Kelly. Are you a prequelist?
Oh,
are you? It's okay if you are because it has its fandom. It does. Let's be honest here. Star Wars has its fandoms. It does.
I have mixed feelings on the prequels. I think they get more hate than they deserve. but I also think they do not compare to the original trilogy. And I think it shows that George Lucas needs. So he has his strengths,
Yes.
but he is strongest when he has people doctoring his scripts. And the main people who were doctoring his scripts in the original trilogy, Carrie Fisher and his ex-wife, were not around.
Susie. Yeah.
And he also did not have people putting him in check because he was
Yep.
George freaking Lucas.
People weren't there to rein him in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows. But I think there were the bones of an interesting story, and the cast was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watch them, and I'm frustrated because I'm like, they could be really great stories.
There's a story in here, but we
There's
can't
a story
find
in
it.
here.
We just can't find it. You know?
And it really upsets me because Hayden Christensen could have been so great, but he was directed so poorly.
Yeah.
I know you and I disagree on that. We've had this discussion.
Oh, yes. For those of you who may be wondering, previously on X-Men, previously on And I Quote, Kelly and I have had numerous conversations, both in front of the camera and behind the camera, about our likes and dislike of a certain franchise also known as Star Wars, which is arguably the most popular saga ever made in the history of cinema. But yeah, I have issues. But Kelly has her fair share of issues with it too, because listen, no franchise is perfect. Star Wars has had bumps in the road just like everyone else has. Granted, that's a separate show that Kelly and I could do. But needless to say, yeah, so Kelly, I hear what you're saying. There was a good story in there, we just couldn't find it. But look what they're doing now. Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau are riding the ship. They're killing it 9 times out of 10. They're not batting 1,000 because they did some some things I didn't necessarily agree with, but for the most part, they're knocking it out of the park. And look what we're getting in a few months, Kelly. We're getting Ahsoka.
But I am forever bitter that we can't get Mara Jade because George Lucas is
put the ixnay on that one.
Of Richards and hated Mara Jade. I want Mara Jade.
Well, speaking of trilogies that no one wants to count on, Crayley McDonald says no X-Men trilogy either, just the first 2. It's a shame they never actually finished the Dark Phoenix line.
Yeah, I would really love to see it done in live action. It's a shame it's never happened.
Really? It didn't happen in The Last Stand? No, I'm kidding. Laugh with Jocelyn says
it didn't happen since the reboot either.
Well, Laugh with Jocelyn is answering the question. Perfect movies for her. It's The Fifth Elements with Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich.
That is a good choice. Solid choice.
Multipass.
This is a good question. I want to hear.
Yeah, seriously, I'm digging this. Philip Miller says that is a loaded question. How dare you, Ryan? Well, Philip, listen. Once in a while, I will ask a brilliant question. Once in a blue moon, it happens. By the way, Crayley goes on to say, I like what are known as the Star Wars prequels, and I'm not ashamed of it. They're flawed, but I think they're more good than bad. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Hollis Thompson goes on to say, good for you, Crayley. Good for you. I know, Hollis, you and I probably have similar vibes about those. Carl says, I made a list of my favorite films, but I can't seem to find it now, doggone it. Carl, when you find that list of perfect movies in your opinion, send it to Kelly, then send it to Ryan, then send it to Crayley, and then send it to everyone else in your followers list.
Yes.
So let's answer the question here for a minute, Kelly. So you named off some of yours, right? So for me, and this is going to sound cliche, and I apologize if it does, but for me, when it comes to perfect movies, I can name definitely 5. I could probably go with 10. For me, some movies that I consider to be perfect are the first Back to the Future movie from 1985, The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins, and the very drop-dead gorgeous Catherine Zeta-Jones.
She's so gorgeous. She's still so gorgeous.
I mean, X amount of years later, Catherine is still killing it. I mean, look what she's done recently. She was in National Treasure, Edge of History, the new series that's currently streaming on Disney+, #not a sponsor. And then of all people, she played Morticia in Wednesday. I didn't see that one coming. I got to be honest. So that one, I think Casablanca. is a perfect
Yes.
movie. You remember Casablanca, don't you, Kelly? And if you don't, you need to visit HBO Max and stream the heck out of that thing. Let's see. That one's a good one. I think The Maltese Falcon. There's an argument to be made for The Maltese Falcon from 1941 to be a perfect film. Not a lot of people talk about this movie. Maybe you've heard of it. I like the movie The Adjustment Bureau with Matt
That
Damon and
movie's
Emily Blunt.
so
Has anyone ever seen
good.
that? Have you ever heard of the Adjustment Bureau, Kelly?
Yes, I love that movie.
Okay, if for those of you maybe wondering, if you don't know what the Adjustment Bureau is, this is a film that came out like 10, 12 years ago. It stars Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, who, by the way, Emily freaking Blunt
She's
is
good
not
in
only
that.
one of the most beautiful women on this planet, but I think she's one of the best actresses on the planet, period. So if you're looking for a great Emily Blunt movie, look that one up, honestly, because that one can do you no wrong. Let's see
That
let's go
one
with another
is
one.
a rom-com. It's action, adventure, mystery. That one has everything too.
Drama. Yeah.
Drama. To me, that's what I think of when I think of perfect films. It has to have all those elements.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair. Let's see here. Another movie I consider to be. Gosh, this is a good question. I named a few of them on my social media feeds not so long ago. Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one. I think that's a perfect movie. I can never tire of watching that. Tim Burton's Batman.
Oh yeah.
Tim Burton's Batman. The first one. I'm talking about the first one. I'm not talking about Batman Returns was a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but the first Batman movie, okay? We're talking about the first one. That is a beautifully made film, Kelly. You're wearing a freaking Batman shirt, for Pete's sake. So, by the way, how excited are you that Michael Keaton is coming back 35 years later as Batman?
I am, but the Ezra Miller drama is definitely putting a stink on it, which makes me sad.
Are you not going to see the movie because of the behind-the-scenes situations that have gone on with him?
I'm going to wait for streaming. I don't want to.
You're going to wait for it to drop on Max, as it's now called, which is so weird, by the way. Why would you change your name? It's so weird. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what they're doing.
Honestly. Well,
yeah,
hey, I still got, like, Max. You can still add all the same movies you had from your HBO Max. I mean, granted, you have to do it all over again, which sucks. But hey, that's the breaks.
It's dumb. Yeah.
Not to get on a tangent about streaming services.
It makes me very sad. So Philip Miller is asking what behind the scenes issues. He's been charged with a lot of illegal shenanigans.
Philip,
we don't need to get into it.
Long story short, Philip Miller did some stuff that's very strange, very odd, not well behaved.
Philip Miller, no, Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. Sorry. Ezra Miller, the actor who plays the Flash. I'm so sorry. My words are being messy. Not you, Philip. You're a great guy. Let's not
Hopefully not. I don't know.
No, he is. Philip Miller. What I meant to say was Ezra Miller, the actor, has done some not so nice things, but you can Google it later. So anyway, people were answering the question in the chat, and I want to hear about this. So I've named a few of mine. I don't remember if I named all 10, but hey, that happens. Let's see here. Dave, by the way, Dave Mattingly says, hello, Kelly and Ryan. Dave Mattingly, good to see you, buddy. How you doing, Dave? How are things in your neck of the woods? By the way, Carl says, one of them is the 39 Steps. Another is North by Northwest, which is a Hitchcock film.
I haven't seen either of those.
North by Northwest is good. I don't think it's necessarily great as people make it out to be, but it's good. It's a good Hitchcock film. It's not one of his greatest, but I think it's fine.
My classical movie knowledge is sadly lacking. I have not seen as many as I should have.
You need to visit these streaming services and get some education. Anyway, Crayley McDonald says The Postman with Kevin Costner, Jerry Maguire, show me the money, Jerry, and Sleeping with Other People? Is that what it's called?
That is what it's called. It's a rom-com. It's a weird title, but it's a cute movie. It sounds weird, but it's good.
That sounds inappropriate. I don't know if I want to watch that movie. But Dave Mattingly says, oh, The Adjustment Bureau. Yes, Dave, it's a good movie. He goes on to say Jason Bourne, The Falcon, and Zod traveling through magic doors. Oh, describing the cast of The Adjustment Bureau. That's what he's getting at.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, because the Falcon is what's his? Oh gosh,
right.
The Sam Wilson. But what's his? Zod is Terrence Stamp. I forget his name. Anyway, Craylin McDonald says, Sense and Sensibility, the Ang Lee iteration of the film, and The Replacements with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, Dave's got us. Sam Wilson is Anthony Mackie.
Thank you, Dave. By the way, perfect movies for Dave Mattingly are Big Trouble in Little China with Kurt Russell, The Gods Must Be Crazy, The Fifth Element, Clue, and Raising Arizona with Nick Cage.
Clue is one of the perfect movies, and the multiple endings.
Have you seen those, by the way?
No.
All 40 endings?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I
He
cannot think of
ran to
another
the door.
movie.
I'm not shouting. Okay, I am. I'm shouting. And then he gets hit with a candlestick. By the way, Tim Curry, perfect casting, great acting, period. Everyone kills it in that movie. No pun intended. By the way, Philip Miller says the recent Puss in Boots movie is one of his favorites. Puss in Boots, The Last Wish? That's what it's called? That's a subtitle, isn't it? Yeah. And Dave Mattingly begrudgingly agrees with you, Kelly. Oh, The Princess Bride is another perfect film, according to Dave. And Kelly, too, apparently.
It is. It's so perfect. It's also one of those movies that you either love it or you can't stand it.
I'm on the other side of that. I'm not a big fan of Princess Bride. It's fine, but I don't love it like everyone else does. I just can't. I can't do it. I'm sorry, Kelly. Sorry.
It's fine. Art is subjective.
It is. Carl Witzman has a list for you, Kelly. The Thin Man, Memento. That is actually my favorite Chris Nolan film. Fun fact. The Breakfast Club from 1985. Speaking of the 80s, Kelly. Star Wars, 39 Steps, Life and Death of Peter Sellers with Jeffrey Rush. I'm not familiar with that. OG Ghostbusters. That's a good one, by the way. It's Groundhog Day. Hello, it's Groundhog Day again. And then you got Beetlejuice, which, by the way, Beetlejuice 2 is currently in production. And Back to the Future, the original. Good picks, Carl.
These are such good picks.
Goodness gracious. Oh, Carl says, we need a movie night, Kelly.
Yes, please.
We can do it tomorrow for all we know. Anyway, Dave Manley says, going back to the golden age of cinema, he says The Court Jester, starring, is it Danny or Donnie? Danny Kaye? I'm not familiar with that one. Happy to see some love for The Postman with Kevin Costner. Philip Miller says the 91 Addams Family movie with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston.
I was just thinking, I don't know how I left that off because that's one of my favorites too.
Tim Curry is the best, according to Grant Lankard.
Yes. Tim Curry is the best.
Goodness gracious. Carl Witzman says, good choice, Dave. By the way, the only thing I remember about The Postman, I've never seen the movie. I hear it's like 3.5 hours long, though. And Kevin Costner is carrying this giant bag full of stuff, and the woman says, "You are Godson, savior." No, I'm just the postman. I'm like, okay, that's the name of the movie, but okay, no problem. I'm just saying. Goodness gracious. Man, have we been everywhere today on this show? Honestly, we've been everywhere, from the tombs of Cairo or in Egypt and Hamunaptra, the city of the dead, to Stars Hollow, where everybody seems to not want to die because they seem to be like vampire-like-minded people. I don't know. To cosplaying, to being on thin ice with my temper, to being scorched by the Scorch character, which reminds me, Kelly, if your series was going to be adapted as an animated series or live action, who would you cast to play the roles?
So Rick Cosnett for Marty, so from The Flash. And then for Aiden, it would be, what is her name? She played Clarice in she played Green Arrow's daughter in Arrow. What was her name?
Oh, yeah. Jenna, it's not Jenna Elfman. Jenna Kendrick, something like that. I can't remember. Kendra something? I can't remember.
No, it's
Erica? I don't know. I'm losing it. I have no idea.
what is her name?
I have no
Catherine McNamara. Catherine McNamara.
Yes. Okay.
I should know that, but
You don't?
I don't know. It's been a day.
It's been a day. So that's the individual you would cast as Scorcher? Or as...
Yep.
Okay. Would you want it to be animated or live action? What would you prefer?
I would prefer live action, but
Okay.
animated would be pretty cool too. I
Get a
take
lot of
whatever
great.
I can get.
You get your audiobook people to voice some of those characters.
I was just gonna say that'd be amazing.
Double duty, right? They can do the audiobook and then they can voice them in the animated series. Should that come to pass,
That'd be actually something I could do not myself, but that'd be something that could be done indie. So hey, maybe that's the next step.
That's fair. That's fair. Speaking of hopes and dreams, what conventions or celebrities do you hope to see in the future that you haven't met as of yet? Anything on your bucket list that you want to knock off in the next couple of months, maybe a year or so?
Well, hopefully I will be meeting Tyler Hoechlin, however you say his last name,
It's
and Bitsy
Hawkland.
Tulak. Hawkland, really?
Yeah,
Wow, thank you for correcting me.
you're way
And
off.
So him and Bitsy Tulak are going to be at Fan Expo Chicago, and so I will hopefully be meeting them there.
Mm.
Yeah, oh gosh, I love Superman and Lois so much. And my friend Anthony, who is often the Rick to my Evie, he and I have been nerding out about Superman and Lois, and he messaged me before they were announced, and he's like, okay, we should do a Lois and Clark costume from this show if we get the chance to meet them. And then a week later they were announced. He was like, we made this happen. I'm like, yeah. So we're gonna meet them. But other than that, I've been really fortunate to interview a lot of celebrities and writers and artists that I admire. So I don't really have that much of a bucket list. I'm not really, for the most part, I'm not interested in paying to do the expensive photo ops and autographs. I've just kind of over it. Aside from
That's
them,
fair.
like they're it.
No, it's fair. It's fair. You know what? Speaking of Superman, once I meet the cast of Smallville, like my destiny is fulfilled. Like if I don't meet anyone else from any other fandoms, like my life is good. I'll live to fight another day because cons are about community, cons are about enjoying yourself, and also cons are about supporting other independent creators, which that's some of the best things about going to cons in general is meeting all these vendors, meeting all these people who hone their craft. They build up their
Right.
resumes. They put together they put their skills to really good use. And I got to tell you, some of my BFFs, I know I'm using a cliche reference, but I'm going to use it anyway. Some of my BFFs, including the Phoenix Sisters cosplay crew, are some of the most creative people I've ever met in my life. So,
Oh.
you know.
Well,
And
when
no,
you
they
do
did, and no, they
celebrity-
did not pay me to wear this shirt on the set.
I
So,
love you.
which we'll talk
And
more
when you
about
do
that
a
later.
celebrity meeting, you spend most of the day waiting in line for that. And
It is a
I wanna do
plethora,
other stuff.
right? It's a lot. It is. It is. It really is. It's a lot.
will
It's a lot of
say-
waiting.
So recently I got to meet Kara. What is her last name? Do I have it here? So I got to meet the artist on the Black Canary YA book with Meg Cabot. Kara, oh, I'm forgetting her last name. And then I got to meet the artist who created not only Helena Wayne, but Helena Bertinelli. So check that off. But I got to meet Chris Claremont of X-Men fame last year. So I'm more interested in comic creators right now.
That's fair. Carl Witzman goes on to say, hey, getting your photo up with Kelly and Crayley? Oh, wait, I got that. Be jealous, Ryan.
Oh, Carl, you're the best. Ryan
No.
will get out here eventually.
Or Kelly and
Or we'll
Crayley
get
can
out
wake
to
up and smell
Ryan.
the roses and fly in over here to the East Coast for a change, and that would be nice.
That is on my bucket list.
You know, the East Coast has some wonderful things to offer in North Carolina. I'm just saying. There's some beautiful places down here. That's all I'm going to say about that. But
Oh, I know. I know. It's just that plane tickets are expensive.
you can find a cheap one at what's that airline that sells like $50 tickets? What's it called? Not Spirit, not Spirit. What's the Southwest? Southwest. They sell cheap airline tickets, right? Just Google it. Southwest. Fly Southwest. Just get over here. It's not that hard.
Also not a sponsor.
Well, hashtag not
They
sponsored.
should be.
Oh, Crayley McDonald says Frontier. Was it Frontier? Frontier Airlines?
Okay.
Is that the cheap one? Is that the one that's least expensive? Look that up, Kelly. Frontier Airlines. Anyway,
Okay.
so with that being said, I do want to let you know, for those of you just joined us and wondering what the frack is going on, well, this is an incredible episode of And I Quote, hosted by yours truly, known as Ryan, and our guest this week is Kelly, one half of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay. If this is your first time here, don't forget to like and share this episode with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Kelly, whether this is live or on the replay, drop them like us in the chat, in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. I do want to let you know, Kelly, that this episode and every episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by our good friends over there at Poddex. Now, for those of you wondering, Poddex are the hottest, and I do mean Scorcher, red hot, new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or gamify their podcast. What you do is you shuffle up the cards, you ask a question, and you let the content roll. Get yours today at poddex.com and use that promo code Ryan10. That's RYAN10. Ryan10 for 10% off your order. Don't miss out on that one. So with that being said, Kelly, if you were reincarnated as a famous landmark, which would it be?
Ooh. That is a good question. Ideally, I would want to be the mermaid statue in Hans Christian Andersen's hometown, because there's a Little Mermaid statue in his hometown. So that's what one I would be.
I didn't know that. Jumping jellyfish. I did not know that. I did not know that. By the way,
You didn't know that was there?
No, I had no idea there was a statue of Ariel sitting out there. By the way, Philip Miller says
It's not Ariel because she's not called Ariel in the book.
She should have been.
Yes.
Anyway, Philip Miller says, I have the pod deck cards. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Philip Miller. Appreciate that. Carl says, good show, old man. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it, buddy.
And we do need to promote where I'm going to be, where people can find me if they want to come and get the next con appearance. Do you have the image for Times of Future Past?
I was going to say that for the very end, but okay, we'll go with it anyway.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I know what I'm doing.
You can wait till the end.
I was going to say, I've done this show once or twice before, but it's okay. I love you no matter what. Anyway.
I love you too.
Yeah, let the pod decks have their fun in the sun. But with that being said, Ariel, huh? But let me ask you this. How do you feel about the remake? You going to go see it with The Little Mermaid? How do you feel about it?
I am going to see it on Monday. I'm super excited. I think it looks beautiful. I think Halle Bailey. I think she has the voice of an angel. She has a voice that a sea witch would want to steal. She looks gorgeous. I'm excited.
Yeah. Awesome sauce. All right. I think the trailer, fine, but I can wait for it on streaming. I'm in no hurry. Plus, nothing's going to top the original. Nothing's going to touch it.
I mean, true. True, but
I still don't get why they're remaking all 30 of their classic movies. I don't understand why. I really don't get it, but hey, Disney can do it. With that being said, what's the worst, and I mean the absolute worst, what's the worst pickup line you've ever heard or dished out?
Oh boy.
I know we're going in the Wayback Machine for a minute.
Yeah, I've been out of the game for quite a while, but I actually recently had a guy on LinkedIn trying to pick me up. And he was asking me for restaurant recommendations in my area for him to take a client to. But then he tried to turn it to like, oh, well, yeah, I really like to cook, but I prefer to have others cook for me. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? This is a job site. There's apps for that. And like if there's apps where women are actually looking to be picked up. Like, no. And then he changed gears and was like, "Oh, I'd love to talk to you about your podcast." I'm like, "My podcast has nothing to do with my career. You already said you're in my career field. My podcast has nothing to do with my career." And it says that in my bio. Like, I'm mostly on LinkedIn for my podcast, actually. But I'm pretty clear about what my podcast is about. I'm like, I don't think you're a cosplayer, dude. And then he just was like a few days later did not take the hint and was like, "Oh, hey, I'd love to meet up and talk about what you do." No, I'm not. I'm stranger danger. So yeah, that was probably the worst because I mean, I'm sure I've had worse in my dating days, but that was pretty wild. I'm like, why are you really that hard up that you're on LinkedIn? That is not, no.
They're
There are
called internet.
literally apps filled with women who want to hear from you.
Yeah, they're the internet trolls. They just sort of wander into this. Have fun storming that castle. They're not going to make it. No, they're not. What's what is something weird that you recommend everyone tries at least once?
Something weird. I mean, cosplay. A lot of people think that's weird, but other than that, I think everyone should go out to eat by themselves at least once, which a lot of people feel weird about that. But I think you should do things that people normally do with other people. But you should do at least one thing that you normally do with other people by yourself once, just because that sense of independence is really important. And just getting used to sometimes doing things by yourself really lets you realize that, yeah, you can do things by yourself. It's still nice to have your friends and family, but yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Carl goes on to say he thought it was linked up.
He did. He did.
Oh, Carl, I need to have a laughing clip on the show so we know when things are actually funny. But anyway, with that being said, how much would someone have to pay you to eat what is known as a live spider?
Oh God. I'm actually arachnophobic, like textbook arachnophobic.
Okay, so I take it you've never seen the indie film Arachnophobia from Stephen King.
No,
Or maybe
no.
was that Stephen King, Carl? Was that Stephen King? I'm not sure if that was a Stephen King movie or just someone that came up with a weird idea. Let's make a movie about spiders.
I'm trying to think
It's
if I
arachnophobia.
would actually do that for any amount of money.
Would you?
I
No?
don't think so.
Okay, you'll pass. Evidently, fear is a factor for you. That's okay. See what I did there? See the little pop culture
Yeah,
reference from the
yeah,
90s and early 2000s? Yeah, there you go.
yeah. I don't think.
It's okay. Fear is a factor for you. It's okay. By the way, Carl goes on to say, I thought it was supposed to be a comedy. What, arachnophobia? I don't think it was. Get out of here, Carl. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding, Carl. Stick around. With that being
Maybe
said,
if you're a psychiatrist, you're a
I,
therapist.
I don't know. There's a movie called Arachnophobia that came out. I'm not sure if it's based off a Stephen King novel or not. And then there was another one that came out like years later called Eight-Legged Freaks with the guy who was married to Courtney Cox, David Arquette. Yeah, David Arquette. By the way, Frank Marshall directed the movie known as Arachnophobia, which stars John Goodman and Jeff Daniels. Thank you, Dave Mattingly.
Oh, so I could see why you would think it would be. I mean, and maybe it was like a comedic horror movie.
I don't know.
Some horror movies are like so over the top that they're making fun of
Beetlejuice
themselves.
is a horror comedy. I think it's more comedy than horror, but it is horror. Like that movie scared the living heck out of me as a kid.
I couldn't even handle the giant spiders in Lord of the Rings and the second Harry Potter movie. Okay, like
Wait a minute.
I have
There's more than one Harry Potter movie? No, I'm kidding. I know there is. I've seen all 8 of them. I just haven't bothered to see the Fantastic Beasts because I didn't care.
Yeah, you're not.
I didn't care. Plus, I heard those movies tank too. They're not really any good. So.
They're not.
They're not. Have you seen them? Have you seen one of them or 2?
I have.
Okay, and you made the mistake of that's 6 hours of your life you're never going to get back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, what's the absolute worst roommate or house guest story?
Oh boy, let me think about that. Well, in college, I lived with a roommate who was a smoker. So that was pretty terrible. And she was not only a smoker, but we kind of hated each other. And we also just, ugh. Yeah. So in like a tiny dorm, when someone is smoking and you're not a smoker, it is not great. Just, yeah. So it's not a funny story. Sorry.
No,
But
it's okay. It's fine. I asked what was the worst roommate or house guest story, not the funniest. But I see what you're saying, though.
yeah,
And the other thing is, Dave Manley goes on to say, I prefer It Came from the Desert movie over Eight-Legged Freaks. They crossbreed the giant spiders and giant scorpions in that one.
that is a big nope from me, dog.
Kelly's like the X on America's Got Talent. Not happening. Get out of here.
Yep. Yep.
She's not going to hit the golden X. She's going to hit the red X. Red X. Not FedEx, but red X.
Yep.
Which, by the way, that's hashtag not sponsor. With that being said, Kelly, if you could star in any movie or TV series, past, present, or future, what character would you want to play?
Wonder Woman.
So you would replace Gal Gadot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would it be an origin story or just her being Wonder Woman for already like 5-10 years and you're in the midst of a new adventure going up against Cheetah or something?
I would take anything they would give me. Also, I would not mind making out with Chris Pine. So, probably the origin story.
So in other words, Kelly wants to replace Gal Gadot, come in for Wonder Woman Part 3, and then have Chris Pine return again as a ghost like he did in the second one.
I mean, no, that was terrible.
I know.
Feelings about that.
That sequel, there was a lot of problems with that. Way too many to count. I did like the setting of the 80s because the 80s is great. I think the 80s is great, but
that was
really, you have to be nice to one another to save the world. That's what you got to do. You got to take this giant diamond and throw it into a mine or something like that. Like, come on, lame.
Everything about that movie was awful.
It was lame, Kelly. It was lame. If you want good Wonder Woman, either watch the first film, even though the third act kind of falls apart in the first one. But
yeah,
if you want good Wonder Woman, either watch the first film with Gal Gadot or go back and just watch Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yes.
I mean, that's good Wonder Woman to you, right? I mean, that's a good iteration of the character.
That's the perfect Wonder Woman.
Played incredibly well and voiced by Susan Eisenberg, if I'm remembering that correctly. Isn't she on your wall? Isn't that her sitting right next to you?
No, Shannon Farnan is on my wall, who was the very first person to ever play Wonder Woman in any capacity. She voiced her in the Super Friends cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
And
yes.
She is a delightful lady. I got to interview her a couple years back, and you all should go look up that interview because her life story is incredible. It's inspiring. She is Wonder Woman. She is Wonder Woman. She's really, I feel very lucky that I got to get to know her. And yeah, I cannot say enough good things about her. She's wonderful. Pun intended. She's also on my Facebook, and every so often she'll chime in on one of my posts, and I'm like, Wonder Woman's like sending me support when I had a bad day. Like, thank you, Aunt Wonder Woman. She's just delightful. She's so nice.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to make sure I have the facts straight here. Did she voice Wonder Woman in all the seasons of Super Friends, including the miniseries Challenge of the Super Friends? Was that her too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she also, in her interview, talked about how they had to do additional voices on that series to kind of earn their keep. So she voiced some of the side characters too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
And she's also done a lot of live action roles, and she's done some voiceovers that were uncredited for like if actresses weren't cutting it and needed someone to come in and punch up the sound.
Oh my goodness, I was not aware of this. By the way, Philip Miller says, watch the battle online, Wonder Woman versus Wolverine. Yes, Wonder Woman versus Wolverine from Superpower Beatdown. If you have not seen that on YouTube, watch the living heck out of that thing, including the alternate ending, because both cuts, no pun intended, because Wolverine does, is fantastic. Have you seen this, Kelly? Are you aware of this?
Oh yeah, it's good.
It is the most accurate Marvel DC crossover I've ever seen in my life. It's the most accurate. And by the way, Carl says, now I want to see Kelly in a Wonder Woman film. There you go. You got too many fans out there. Philip Miller says, heal from that. Yes, Philip, I understood that reference, buddy. That was a heck of a movie they made. Well, it was a mini movie slash special battle. It's a video. It's not really a movie, but it feels like it could be a movie. It's a 10-minute. It feels like a 10-minute movie with a great production value, but that's just my 2 cents.
It's sad when the fan films sometimes give you more than
The major
Warner
studios
Brothers
do.
is.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is too
Hmm.
reactionary. Do you understand what you know what I mean? Like they wait for
Yes.
something to blow over, then they make a movie and it does gangbusters, and then they don't do a sequel, and then when a movie does poorly, they make a sequel to that, and they're flipping. They're flipping. And now Henry Cavill is unfortunately no longer our Superman. # I'm angry. So, by the way, Henry, I know you watch our
Such
show.
a
You're a great supporter, but Henry,
stupid.
it wasn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. You got the shortest end of the stick at DC and Warner Brothers. He got the shortest end of that stick. They gave him 3 movies, 4 if you count the director's cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and he didn't get his fair shake. Didn't get a fair
The
shake.
stories weren't there. He was not given the chance. It's similar to also Brandon Routh was
With
kind of robbed of
Superman
the
Returns.
chance. Yeah, Brandon Routh could have been a fantastic Superman, but he was not.
He freaking looked like Christopher Reeve, which is insane. It's like he was cloned.
But then he was given kind of a crappy story, and he was also kind of forced to act or like mimic Christopher Reeve instead of doing his own take on it.
True.
And it was so nice to see him be the Kingdom Come Superman, because he kind of got his chance to
Close out that chapter.
put his mark on it. Yeah, and
Close out.
he was fantastic as Kingdom Come Superman. Like he really was. I love Brandon Routh. He was fantastic, and it was nice to see him get a little due, and the fan response to that was really positive when he was not supported, and he's usually not recognized as Superman. And
yeah, I got you. Yeah, I would have creatively, I would have liked to have seen what a Superman Returns Part 2 would have done, because at the end of that film there is potential.
Yeah,
There's
they
potential
set
for
up.
that to grow. I mean, granted, some mistakes were made in the first film, but it wasn't entirely. It's not Brandon's fault. But I still would have liked to have seen what would have happened with him moving forward if we had gotten a Part 2 and a Part 3. Because every Superman actor, no matter how good or bad they are, I still think you should give them 3 shots of the dark. Give them 3 movies. If it works, great. If it doesn't, whatever. But yeah, I met Brandon Routh at a con. Nice guy. Nice guy. I'm trying to think what it was. Was it one of his Superman? Oh, I had him sign a fan art print of him as Superman for Superman Returns, and he appreciated that. So that was good. I posted a picture of it. It's on my social media. # always check out my stuff. So that's good stuff, too. By the way, Phil Miller says, it was really amazing. You are right, Kelly. The fans do it better when it comes to fan-made films. And Dave Manley says it was nice to see Brandon come back for the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. Yeah, everything came full circle in that one. Fair point. Fair point. There is something super to say about somebody else, right? That's what you want to do. Well, listen, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Kelly Guentner, one half of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, for being our guest for her sequel. This is part 2 of her appearances on, and I quote, Kelly, thank you so much for being here. You are a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day.
Aw.
So my question to you is, where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media and everything that you have coming up? What's on your docket?
All right. So, Phoenix Sis Cosplay on most everything. If you just go to linktree.com/Phoenix Sis Cosplay, you can find all my stuff, all Craylie's stuff. I highly suggest checking out Craylie's stuff. Her Pokeballs by Craylie, she makes amazing Pokeballs. Or if you go to www.kellyguentner.com, that's KELLYGUENTNER.com. You can find, you can order signed copies of my books. You can find a way to contact me if you wanted to get in on the audiobook and order one. You absolutely can do that. And coming up next, I am going to be appearing with Craylie as the official Triss Marigold of The Witcher. And Craylie is going to be the Ciri at Times of Future Past in Kewanee, Wisconsin. It is basically kind of a mini Renaissance fair that also celebrates all decades or all eras. up in Kewanee, Wisconsin. It's a fun little outdoor con, and we're really excited. We're going to have our girl with us as well. My friend Tim is going to be our girl. So that is where you can find us next. After that, of course, Fan Expo in August. Fan Expo Chicago. I'll be at Crayley's Pokeballs by Crayley booth. And other than that, just keep watching Cosplay Cafe and listening to Gilmore Sisters. You can find me on all of those. So, yeah. Thank you again for having me, Ryan.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast, Kelly. We love having you here, and like I said before, you're a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. With that being said, my name is Ryan of Neuroculture. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you wish, at your leisure or at your own peril. No, it's fine. You can follow me. I'm one. Trust me, I'm a Jedi. I'm one of the good guys. So check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Also, don't forget we got great content coming your way throughout the course of this year. We are not done yet. We are this close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. Once we do, we're going to throw the greatest live stream celebration that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and everyone else on this planet has ever seen, heard, or witnessed. So tell your friends, because they're going to tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. You know how these things go, Kelly. So tell your friends about us. You're going to like the way you look after watching or listening to our content. I guarantee it. Also, speaking of Comic Cons, Kelly, you're going to love this. Our next stop, we're going on tour, folks. Our next stop is going to be Awesome Con in our nation's capital of Washington, D.C. That's June 16th through the 18th, 2023. And then right after that, we're going to be in our friendly neighborhood Shore Leave, which is in Hunt Valley, Maryland, on July 7th through the 9th. And then to wrap up the summer tour, if you will, we're going to be in GalaxyCon in Raleigh, North Kakalaki, also known as Raleigh, North Carolina, one of the biggest places in the world. July 28th to the 30th. More dates are going to be announced. Follow us on all forms of social media. Also, we were talking about our favorite movies earlier. Next movie anniversary watch along is going to be on Sunday, June 11th. Jurassic Park, Kelly. Jurassic Park turns 30.
Nice.
Turns 30. Do you have any idea how long that is?
We're so old.
We're getting way too long in the tooth here, fans. But guess what? You know what's even better than that? Man of Steel turns 10 on June 12th. And then after that, The Incredible Hulk, one of the best MCU films ever made, turns 15 on June 13th. So we're going to have a trilogy of great movie anniversary watch-alongs here in June of 2023. Sunday, June 11th is Jurassic Park. And all of these feature presentations are going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you set your reminders, set your clocks, set your watches. Because when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious stuff. See what I did there, Kelly? I'm pretty good at this by now. I am.
I love it.
I know, right? 88 miles per hour. So check all that stuff out, guys. We appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified when new videos go up. And in the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe. And remember, life is better when reading. Take a look.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? You understand? Who do you want me to be? Am I still missed?
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics. when the look of your book matters to you.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at ckoepp.com today.
Attention all sci-fi fans. We want to inform you about Shore Leave 43, the Baltimore region's largest fan-run science fiction convention. Travelers from every galaxy will find something special among the writing and science workshops, stargazing, and autograph sessions with some of your favorite actors. Don't miss the gaming sessions, and most of all, make time to spend with your fellow sci-fi fans. From the Star Trek universe, meet Star Trek Voyagers Robert Picardo and Robert Duncan McNeil. Chat with sci-fi legends Claudia Black and Ben Browder from Stargate SG-1 and Farscape. If you enjoyed comedy with your sci-fi, then stop in to talk with Penny Johnson-Gerald and Peter Macon from The Orville. Also scheduled to appear are Aliana Huffman from Riverdale, Bonnie Gordon from Star Trek Prodigy, and from Battlestar Galactica, Grace Park and Aaron Douglas. Sci-fi and fantasy writers David Mack, Michael Jan Friedman, Keith R.A. DiCandido, Kelly Fitzpatrick, and Derek Tyler Attico, along with many others, will be giving workshops, signing books, and talking with fans. Performing on stage will be the Boogie Nights, as well as the comedy improv group Luna Sea. Shore Leave 43 opens July 7th to the 9th at the Delta Hotels in Hunt Valley, Maryland. For more details, check on their website, www.shore-leave.com.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.